Can I talk to you about some library kindness that happened to me? I was meeting with somebody at the library, and as I was walking around, this library kid and library grown up come up to me. And the library kid says, "Hi," and hands me this Pokemon card. And the library grown up says, "They've been waiting so long to give that to you." And I said, "This is a Charizard Pokemon card. Why are you giving me your Pokemon card?" And the library kid goes, "Because you always helped me. You always knew where the Pokemon books are. And that means everything to me. I'm going to use this as my new bookmark. So I'm a forgetful person, so sometimes I leave my books places. If you come across a book and you see this Pokemon card in the book, it is a bookmark. It is my bookmark. Um, just know that if it gets returned to your library, please give it back to me. Pokemon cards are very important. This one was gifted to me. It's very, very important. Can you do me that kindness? It's so easy to be kind. Yes.
Welcome to the Jaybefaunt channel. I am your host, James Fauntleroy. Beautiful Sunday evening. Happy Easter and happy Trans Day of Visibility. I am your host, James Fauntleroy. So good to see all of you. Come on in, have a seat, sit on down. It is so good to see all of you here. The Jaybefaunt channel is available on all major podcast platforms, so go ahead and subscribe there. Also part of the Revolutionary Blackout Network, so you can see me there typically on Sundays and Thursdays. So if you have not already, you guys can also subscribe to the Substack at jaybefaunt.substack.com so that you are aware whenever I go live, upload clips, or write any articles. So go ahead and do the damn thing there. By the way, if you guys have not already, you guys can also give a like to the stream. That pushes me out into the algorithm. We all know that is not as reliable as some people may think. So go ahead and do your due diligence and go ahead and assist me there if you would like to. Thank you so very much for that. Yes, this is live, by the way. This is not just a premiere. I decided I was going to do this live because, well, I haven't done anything live really solidly in a little bit because of a lot that's been going on. So I wanted to do this live tonight. And so hopefully, you guys will be in for a treat with this reading. And so, in addition to, and furthermore, while we're at it, we're going to say hello to a few people that's inside the chat that are coming in. They're pouring in right now. So we're going to go and say hello to Miguel H. saying peace. He put up the two fingers of peace. Good to see you, Miguel. Oh, by the way, I decided to do something a little bit different today. I got a wine cooler today. I was like, why not? Hey, it's Sunday, right? So we're going to get into this as well. Yes, Miguel, we are reading Laziness Does Not Exist. So that's going to be a good reading for today. Then we also have Javier coming in with the Wave of the Hand. Yes, good to see you also in here, Javier. Nice to have you. And anybody else that wants to chime in, go ahead, feel free to chime in and let me know your thoughts about what we'll be reading today. So, with that being said, without further ado, what are we doing on this stream today? Well, we are going to be reading Dr. Devon Price's own Laziness Does Not Exist. So, this is going to be a live reading as indicated there. So I cannot wait to get into this. We're going to be covering chapter 7, part Do. This is going to be very interesting. Now, in the last reading, we were basically talking about a few things, about shrugging off society's shoulds, what we should be, how we should act, how our life should be. And a lot of these shoulds are really based on lies that is told to us that, oh, you're a productive person if you do these specific things in society. When in reality, it's like, are they really? And what system are they based on, right? And so I think that's something that is really something that we need to take a stock in within ourselves, and so it talks about how systemic racism, how that is implemented within our society. um uh I remember Dr. Devon Price talking about he is Melungeon. So, how have to take that hillbilly type of background and cast it aside so that people do not view you this certain way that's associated typically with people from this particular part of America, the hillbilly side, right? So it's just really interesting and deep. And so we're now going to get into going against these shoulds. And one of the first things we're actually going to talk about is body positivity. Yes, we're going to get into that. And by the way, this is pretty apropos considering that one is basically Trans Day of Visibility. Number two, there's this whole thing talking about right now about Lizzo basically quitting the music industry, and part of it's because of how she's been treated in response to her portrayal of body positivity. So this is actually going to get into not particularly that story, but it's going to be within that realm. Okay, so I just wanted to get into that. And so I hope you guys have your drinks ready. I have mine. This is Seagram Escapes Wild Berries with strawberry, raspberry, blueberry, and blackberry flavors. And got a little bit of alcohol in it. So I think it's starting to take effect. Hold on. Not bad, not bad. It's kind of tasty, but I don't drink these things very often. So that's one of the reasons why, I'm like, maybe, why not? Let's get into it. Hang on. Excuse me. Now, let's get into the reading. The reading will start on page 187. So we're going to get into this right now. The subheading is this. Your body's already perfect. Let's get into it. It's going to be interesting. I'm telling you. When you've been taught all your life that your productivity determines your value, it's really easy to become alienated from your body. Instead of seeing your body as a fundamental part of who you are, you come to see it as a means to an end. Our culture views bodies as tools that exist to be used as objects that exist to win the approval of others. This is especially true for fat women who are constantly told by society that their bodies are failing to perform their job, which is to be as small and conventionally beautiful as possible. We're also going to get into how it's really about Eurocentric beauty standards that's being told that we have to abide by. And the thing is that there's naturally different beauties, around the world. But the fact is that you have to appeal to this one Eurocentric beauty standard, which in reality is like there's a lot of people from different regions of the world who don't particularly fit into that one mold. And so it really is unrealistic to expect, Asian women to fit it within that Eurocentric beauty standard. It is unrealistic for African women to fit within that Eurocentric beauty standard. And, then you have people who are of mixed heritage, like Latinos and what have you. So, yeah, it's really interesting. So let's continue. It's constantly exhausting to be defined by beauty, says my friend Jesse Oliver. That is something none of us actually really signed up for. Jesse Oliver is a voice coach, an amazing opera singer, and an activist for fat positivity. On her podcast, Fat Out of Hell, she and her co-hosts discuss everything from the joy of finding adorable plus-size bikinis to the difficulty of locating restaurants with chairs that can comfortably hold large bodies. She's been an active voice for fat liberation for many years, pushing back against the judgment and exclusion fat people face at work, in the doctor's office, and in performing arts. Because she's been on the receiving end of fat phobia her entire life, She's intimately aware of how society's hatred of fatness is tied to laziness lie. First of all, let's get this out here. Look, I am not skinny. Let's be real, okay? I'm not. And a lot of times with people who are on the heavier side, people will automatically make this notion in their mind that they're what? Two words, fat and what? That's right, lazy. So the thing is like, there's a lot of people who are heavier that are also very hardworking. So does it mean that their, heavy set bodies are because they're lazy? Or could it be also tied to a particular system? Could it be tied to certain genes and biology that causes us to be this way? Also remember that this system uses whatever it can in order to increase profits. And the manipulations within food is also it causes us to be heavier, which is a byproduct of them trying to increase profits. Let's get into it more. The diet industry is the only industry I can think of that profits equally whether you succeed or fail, she says. If you don't lose weight, you have to keep trying. If you succeed, they can sell you all these products to help you maintain your weight because God forbid you ever become fat again. Hatred of fatness is immensely profitable. In 2019, the weight loss industry was worth over $72 billion in the United States alone. The industry grew 4% from 2018 to 2019, and most analysts predict it will continue to grow for many years to come. The weight loss business is a massive beast with many far-reaching tendrils peddling everything from diet pills to fat-blasting workout classes to cosmetic surgeries to waist training belts. If you believe your body needs to change, there are lots of options into which you can pour your money. And lots of businesses are eager to feed your insecurities to keep that money flowing. It is exploitative. Fundamentally, create the problem and then sell you the solution. Oh, we're going to create the problem by making people more fat. We're going to sell you the solution to help you get rid of it. We're going to make it so hard for you to get rid of it that you have to keep paying money to us to try to get rid of it, even though we make it so that it's not really possible. You see, you have to stop. You see, the whole fat phobia thing is really based on personal responsibility. And the funny thing is, we always want to focus on personal responsibility, but we never want to talk about community responsibility. Like, why aren't some people who are fat, especially a lot of people who are lower on a socioeconomic ladder, why are they fat? Well, a lot of times what ends up happening is because they can't afford the healthy food, right? Those of you who are feeling the pinch right now, you guys know how expensive healthy food is. So guess what? You get to a point where you start to buy healthy food, but you can't really buy it much because it is more expensive. It is easier to buy a pack of ramen noodles, a 6-pack of ramen noodles, than it is to buy, some vegetables. Because guess what? Maybe 2 cans of green beans is probably just as expensive and not more expensive than a 6-pack of ramen noodles. But what will keep you fuller for longer? I'm not making excuses. I'm giving reasons. All right, let's continue. Society's hatred of fatness pushes many of us to work incredibly hard in pursuit of an arbitrary standard of perfection. It keeps us overextending ourselves in gyms and fitness classes, trying to desperately to mold our bodies into trim, tone shapes, regardless of whether that's healthy for us. It tells us that all bodies are capable of resembling bodies of the wealthy. Damn it, if that is not bars right there, because it's like, oh, well, if you want to be productive, you have to look like the rest of us who are wealthy. You know what that reminds me of? Somebody was talking about how good was it, Angela Bassett? It was some famous black actress. And they were like, man, she looks so good for her age. And I was like, well, if I was affluent, I probably could look better for my age too. That's not the reality for the rest of us. See? And a lot of times, it could be more of a reality for the rest of us if we actually had a more solid, stable, and consistent way of life. A more solid, stable, and consistent means of taking care of ourselves without having to worry about paywalls, without having to worry about cost. And I'm talking about healthcare, housing, food, education, all these different things that are really our material conditions that just aren't there because of a capitalist system. Because ultimately, being the best version of yourself is essentially paywalled in this system. All right, so let's continue. It convinces us that our body's natural hunger signals are not to be trusted and ought to be suppressed with pill or meal replacement shakes. It leads us to spend thousands of dollars per year on desperate attempts to improve ourselves, even though statistically those methods almost never work. So much of the research and so much of the science that historically has been done about fatness has been funded by the diet industry, Jesse says. So all the results are being presented in a way that allows them to say, well, we have this thing that will fix you. We're constantly being told that we need fixing. Despite the immense pressure on people to fix their bodies through weight loss, nearly all attempts at weight loss fail. This is truer no matter the method the person attempts. Dieting, exercise, surgery, supplements are all ineffective when it comes to changing people's bodies, especially in the long term. Studies show that between 95 and 97% of people who attempt to lose weight end up gaining back all the weight that they lost within 5 years. And though we're all taught to see fatness as unhealthy, a great deal of research shows that repeatedly losing and gaining weight is far worse for a person's health than maintaining a constant high weight. Interesting, because your body's constantly going through changes. How many actors have you heard where, especially a lot of male actors, well, they will put on muscle and things like that for a role, but then the next role they have to get really skinny and frail, right? And imagine what their body's going through. It's like traumatic, dangerous shifts over short periods of time. So this is basically the same thing, right? And another thing I think also which contributes to it is the stress and the disease of despair that can cause people to stress eat, to gain weight. There also is a mental and emotional fatigue that also influences physiological fatigue, so that you are more sedentary, so you're not doing things physically in your life that you should be doing, like moving your body, things like that. So that can also be a contributing factor to why people aren't moving as much, because we're tired. We're tired. So therefore, It may be a mental and an emotional tiredness that also contributes to us being physically tired too. And so it also could be because of the situation that we're in within this system, it also depresses us so that we do not have the ambition to be able to go out there and do as much as we want to. So therefore, we just don't do much on top of the costs. And then some people may also have different issues regarding thyroid issues and different issues that are tied to their health, but they can't get it checked out because they don't have the money for health care. See how this all is related? It's not just, oh my God, fat people are lazy. No, it's not. It's not as black and white as you think it is. And yes, I tied it back to capitalism because that's how it works, baby. You know, it's interesting. If you look at pictures and videos of people from the 40s, 50s, 60s, and even the 70s, everybody pretty much skinny. Like everybody was skinny. But you also realize that, especially in like the 50s, 60s, and 70s, people typically also, their money went longer. And they also had more time, more a work-life balance than they do now. And so they're able to take some of that leisure time. You know, I'm getting on my soapbox right now. I'm supposed to be reading, but look, y'all know exactly where I'm going. Anyway, let's continue. Despite all this evidence, many of us keep trying to battle fatness because we've been taught to see fat as a sign of inexcusable laziness. Fat and lazy are two terms that often go together. Both are used to pass moral judgment on a person, to express disgust at who they are and how they live, just as the laziness lie pushes economic victims for their own misfortune. I'm sorry, just as laziness lie punishes economic victims for their own misfortune. You could succeed if you just work harder. It also punishes the victims of fat hate and body negativity by saying all they need to do is eat less and exercise more. From my teens until my late 20s, I had a pretty severe eating disorder. I used to deny myself food as much as possible and force myself to exercise for more than an hour every single day, no matter how busy I was or how tired I felt. When I got incredibly sick back in 2014, poor nutrition was definitely a contributing factor alongside overwork. To me, the two are inextricably linked. Both my compulsive overwork and my eating disorder came from my fear of being lazy and my need to constantly prove that I was doing enough. To get healthy, I had to unlearn my belief that physical suffering was a sign of virtue. You remember how they say, no pain, no gain? Interesting. I also had to challenge my fear of gaining weight. For my entire life up to that point, I've been taught that fat people were inexcusably lazy and they themselves were to blame for the exclusion and judgment they faced. To escape my eating disorder, I had to challenge my biases against fat people. That deserves a swig. Embrace body positivity. When I was first trying to heal from my eating disorder, one thing that helped immensely was exposing myself to beautiful, celebratory images of fat bodies. I started following the blogs and social media accounts of cool, fashionable, badass fat people and began to really listen to and appreciate the fat people in my life. I devoured the comedy videos of Joy Nash, a fat actor who later went on to star in the show Dietland. I pored over the images of fat fashion models like Arcadio Deval and Kelly Lynn. I read writing by fat people and their experiences of prejudice and exclusion. I listened to the struggles of my fat friends. Over time, I could feel my fat phobia and my discomfort within my own body beginning to erode. As I began to judge others' bodies less, I became more compassionate towards my own body as well. Studies show that when we expose ourselves to sorry, I can't talk today. Studies show that when we expose ourselves to diverse images of fat people, our negative stereotypes of them begin to go away. Research also shows that spending quality time with fat people out in the real world helps make thin individuals less fat phobic. Exposure to positive images of people in a variety of sizes and shapes helps us become compassionate towards our own bodies as well. By coming to recognize the beauty of fat bodies, I stopped being a pawn to the diet industry and could manipulate that they could manipulate and profit from. More important, I became less cruel, less judgmental person towards the fat individuals in my life. I lost about 85 pounds since last year. Was it because I was trying to just lose weight? No. The weight loss was actually a byproduct of what I was trying to do. I was just trying to be the best version of myself. That's all it is. That's my goal. The fact that I'm losing weight is a byproduct of that. And we're being told that your optics, your appearance is more important than anything else. When in reality, the goal should be just to be the best version of yourself, to enjoy the body that you're in. But it's hard to do that when you're constantly being told to fix the outside while your engine, your transmission, and your driving system is messed up. What good is fixing the outside of a computer if your hardware and your software are messed up on the inside? And we're constantly being judged by the screen and the keys on the keyboard and the outside casing of the computer, when in reality, we have to change the programs that are within the computer. And we might have to replace a few chips within the computer instead. First one, embrace fat positivity. When I was first trying to heal from my eating disorders, one thing that helped me immensely was exposing myself to beautiful. Oh, I already started that. Sorry. The second one is remember that your body is not an object, it's you. A psychologist studied people suffering from negative body image. At the core of the problem is something called self-objectification. When we view our bodies as objects or things that are separate from our minds, we engage in self-objectification. In particularly damaging causes, self-objectification can even involve seeing one's body as a collection of separate parts, all of which have their own perceived flaws rather than a worthwhile whole. Research shows that people who routinely think about their bodies as objects report much lower self-esteem than those who don't, and are much more likely to engage in eating disorder behaviors. One study even showed that women who spend a lot of time thinking about their bodies actually get worse at solving math problems as a result of the distraction and distress that self-objectification causes them. Unfortunately, the more a person is exposed to media images that uphold a thin body ideal, the more likely they are to think in these damaging self-objectifying ways. Remember, corporate media also owns the images, and they portray the images that we are supposed to be portrayed as. And they benefit from this too. You don't think that they don't know that? You don't think that they don't push these things so that you end up buying money from their sponsors? Why do you think there's an Ozempic craze right now? Big Pharma's got a chokehold. Let's be real. How do you fight the urge to self objectify once it's already there? Well, you can focus on what your body can do rather than what it looks like. Exercise can be a process of celebrating what your body is capable of, or enjoying the pleasure, uh, enjoying the pleasure a good run or a tough weightlifting session can give, rather than a form of punishment. Being gentle with your body is also important. Listening to your body for signs of pain, discomfort, and hunger can help you feel more attuned to your needs and less apt to punish yourself with overexertion. One of the things I do now is that if I'm feeling hungry, I will drink water and then wait 15 minutes and see how I feel after that. Sometimes the feeling that you feel of hunger is actually thirst. So that's something that I do, which does help. But there's many different things, and you learn things about your body that you didn't know you could do, which is also very helpful. Most of all, you have to work to abandon the fear that being idle or gaining weight is a sign that you're lazy. As we talked about in the back in chapter 2, great healing can be found in listening to our bodies and honoring our needs for rest and idleness. It's revolutionary and deeply healing to listen to our body's pain and exhaustion and respect it rather than judging it. Unlearning a lifetime of fat hate and body shame is a long, complex process, but you can begin that unlearning as soon as you accept that you don't need to put any effort into changing your shape. It's society's rigid, fat phobic expectations for people's bodies that need to change, not you. Next subheading: your life can be messy. Another damaging should the laziness lie promotes is the idea that our lives should look a certain way. The competitive nature of capitalism leaves many of us feeling that we have to attain a certain kind of lifestyle, one that impresses other people and signals our wealth and success. This is yet another trap and another needless source of stress. The phrase keeping up with the Joneses comes from the title of a comic strip by Arthur Pop Momand, first published in 1913 in the New York World. The comic follows the McGinnis family as they struggle to keep up with their showier, classier neighbors, the Joneses. The McGinnises are new to the upper middle class and lack their neighbors' manners, tidiness, and sense of style. Ever since the creation of the strip, the phrase keeping up with the Joneses has been used to describe the pressure many feel to maintain a classy, presentable lifestyle to impress the people around them. Interestingly, the Joneses never actually appeared in the comic, though it ran for more than 25 years. You never get to see the perfect, respectable family the McGinnises aspire to be like. To me, this makes perfect sense. If readers had been able to see the Joneses, they would have found flaws to pick apart. Instead, the family remains mysterious, always superior to the McGinnises in countless ways, yet never being critiqued themselves. Instagram, when people are modeling on Instagram, you know what they do? They never show you the gritty parts of their life. They never show you the parts of their life where it's not very glamorous. They don't show you the millions of takes that they have to do in order to be able to get that right shot, that right pose, that right angle to make them look better than you. They don't tell you about the eating disorders that they have to endure just to be able to look good enough to take those pictures. And by the way, it's not just women, it's men. Mm-hmm. We are also faced with unobtainable body images. It's true. Is it directed towards women? A lot of times, yes. But is it also directed towards us men? Also, yes. We are also faced with sometimes unrealistic body standards because all of us men are not shaped the same. As odd as it sounds, the same dynamic of anxiety in comparison to a perfect, unknowable other is still maintained on social media today. The people we compare ourselves to are hyper visible and permanent fixtures of advertisements, Instagram feeds, and YouTube channels. But we know very little about their actual lives. This allows us to project an image of perfection onto them. Their spotless homes, stylish outfits, and exciting vacations makes our lives seem lackluster and leaves us feeling as though we're kind of pathetic and sloppy in comparison. This is the danger of a parasocial relationship, is that you will compare your lives to the people on your screen, whether it's a mobile TV screen or otherwise, and you will think that their lives are better than yours. I assure you that the person you're watching right now's life is not better than yours. Not by a long shot. Let's continue. In reality, many of the people who appear to be doing better than us on social media are simply curating their lives more. They're amplifying the glamour and downplaying all the signs of struggle or pain. Unfortunately, this creates an arms race of flawlessness, with more and more humanity being smothered away until the only thing deemed acceptable is an unreal level of perfection. You can tell when there's a picture that's created by AI versus one that's actually real. Why? Because the AI pictures all seem so flawless. Our pursuit of perfection is so strong that even perfection is now looking imperfect. Until a few years ago, Tina O'Neill was an Instagram darling. As a teenager, she accumulated over 500,000 followers by posting glitzy photos of herself on the beach and at various lush vacation spots. She wore beautiful gowns and rich jewel tones. She bared her flat stomach while donning sleek workout gear. She drank weight loss teas while wearing short shorts and tank tops and tousling her artfully messy hair. By the time she turned 18, Esna was completely burned out and disillusioned with the influencer game. She was sick of projecting a false image of herself and exhausted by the work that crafting such an illusion required. So she deleted hundreds of Instagram posts in a span of a day and altered the captions on all the posts that remained. Each new caption laid bare the technique she used to create the impression of easygoing perfection that had defined her brand. On an old photo of herself lounging on the beach in a bright pink bikini, Esena added the new caption, "Not real life. Took over 100 photos in similar poses trying to make my stomach look good. Would have yelled at my little sister to keep taking them until I was somewhat proud of this. Yup, so totally hashtag goals." On a photo of herself in a tank top and running shorts, Estina changed the caption to read, "A 15-year-old girl that calorie restricts and excessively exercises is not goals." In her other edited captions, Esina revealed that many of her spontaneous seeming posts were carefully planned sponsorship deals. She laid out the countless photo staging and editing techniques that allowed her to appear as thin and radiant as possible. In the years following Esna's caption editing frenzy, a handful of other social media darlings have come forward about similar similar deceptions and apologize for the damage they've done. Psychological research shows that exposure to these posts takes a toll on how people feel about themselves. A study of Facebook users found that encountering glamorous or aspirational images was associated with a drop in user self-esteem. Another study found that the teens who compared themselves to online personalities experienced more depressive symptoms, while a third study found that adult women who edit and filter their selfies have much more negative self-images than those who don't, and experience greater self-consciousness. Other studies have observed similar effects in teen girls. You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of how a lot of these magazines were critiqued back in the day, especially ones that are geared towards young women and teen girls. Remember that? You would look at 17 magazine, Cosmo. What are some others? I can't remember some others, but it was a bunch of magazines that are especially geared towards teen girls, and there's these unrealistic body standards, and they would airbrush or edit the pictures of these models to make them look more perfect. And these teen girls would be trying to adhere to these unrealistic body standards so that they can look like these women. When in reality, even the ones on the covers didn't even look like that. This system didn't change. It just it's same song, different dance. That's basically what it is. Every unrealistic standard that we encounter on social media can breed a new source of anxiety. Whether it's a stunning outfit or a luxuriously decorated living room, every ridiculously perfect image gives us a new thing to feel guilty and lazy about. But we will never catch up to any of those Joneses because they were never real people in the first place. They're just facades designed to keep us busy, distracted, and feeling insecure because those insecurities keep us both productive and profitable. To my black people in the hood, when you got those young dudes that are in there flashing off their chains, flashing off their grills, and then they got that stack of cash, and then they may be, throwing around them weapons to try to make themselves look hard and good. That's the exact same thing. It even happens in the black community in the hood culture. That's what this is, to make you feel like you're not doing enough, to make you feel like you're not hustling enough, like you're not getting the bag enough. That's basically what it is. So yes, it even affects young black men in the hood too. That's something that a lot of people don't talk about. So these young black men that are flashing those stacks of cash, all you got to do is put 120 on one side, another 20 on the other side, and then fill it up with the rest of the way ones, and make it look like you got all that cash, but in reality, you really don't. And then even if they do have that much cash, that cash is a loan that was given to them that they, have to eventually pay back. It's not it's not actually their money, but it's a facade to make you think that you're not enough unless you are just like them. When in reality, that's not true. That's what the laziness lie is. It is the system designed to make you feel like you're not enough, so you have to pay through the nose or produce more for them so that you are enough. But in reality, that's not true, baby. You are enough. You've been enough this entire time. They just don't want you to know it. That's the issue. That's how capitalism works. Capitalism wants you to look at these billionaires and think, oh my God, they're so much better. No, they're not. They literally had to do morally repugnant things in order to get to where they are. That deserves another swig. Thankfully, a growing body of research is shedding light on the steps a person can take to fight these pressures. In short, if social media leaves you feeling as though you're not enough, you can counteract it by avoiding comparisons with other people and seeking out the successful people who inspire you rather than make you feel bad. Avoid upward comparisons. In nearly every psychological study on the damaging effects of social media use, upward social comparison is a key variable. When we look to someone who seems more accomplished or high status than us and use their perfection as a stick to beat ourselves up with, we're engaging in upward social comparison. If you find yourself feeling threatened or judged every single time you view a particular celebrity or influencer's post, odds are you're doing it. Upward comparison is, in essence, a way of using other people's accomplishments to determine what our own goals should be. It kills contentment and self-acceptance. There's always someone doing better than we are in one way or another. If we constantly seek out people to unfavorably compare ourselves to, we'll never feel like we're enough. Stop comparing yourselves to these people whose lives are not that perfect, but they just want to make you feel like it is. Stop. It is unrealistic. Because guess what? They can't even achieve that. It is impossible for them to do as well. They just don't want you to know that they can't achieve it either. Research suggests that people who do a lot of upward social comparing, tend to work themselves to the point of burnout. In many ways, the urge to look upward and to compare ourselves endlessly to those above us is at the heart of the laziness lie. Often, though, that idealized person sitting above us doesn't really exist. It can be helpful to remind ourselves of that fact. Some studies suggest that there is a psychological benefit to being reminded of how doctored and curated most social media images are, for example. But it's even better to avoid exposing ourselves to those shame-inducing images in the first place. Don't pay them that much attention. You don't need to beat yourself up by comparing yourself to those who seem more productive or glamorous. You won't suddenly become lazy if you get rid of all that guilt. You can trust yourself to determine your own goals and to follow through with them at the right pace that's right for you. Seek inspiration, not shame. There are a variety of ways to look upward, and not all of them do damage. There's a great deal of value in having someone to admire and a source of motivation and encouragement. That's not the same thing as using a glamorous celebrity's beauty as a source of shame. The psychologist and researcher Pierre Turnell Dijkstra describes it this way. Individuals might contrast themselves with a comparison target, for instance, i.e., focus on the differences between themselves and the target. Or they may identify with the comparison target, i.e., focus on the similarities between themselves and the comparison target. Dijkstra and his colleagues have observed that when we identify with someone we see as being above us, it can give us feelings of hope and admiration. Rather than making us feel inferior, this upward gaze can leave us inspired. So, you know how a lot of us on the left will look up to people like Michael Parenti, we'll look up to people like Fred Hampton, we'll look up to people like Bobby Seale, Angela Davis, Asada Shakur, so on and so forth, right? We look up to them, but not because they exist for us to look at this unrealistic beauty standard, but they inspire us to do the things that we ourselves can do, either in a micro scale or in a macro scale. So this is the positive side of looking up to people, but it's looking up to people who have standards that show us that we can also do the same things. So it's good to be inspired by people like that. I'll return to an example early in the book in Instagrammer, comedian, and model Ricky Thompson. I have very little in common with Ricky. I'm a white academic, not a black social media star. I don't have as good looks, high energy, or sense of comedic timing. Yet when I see Ricky's modeling ideas and media appearances, I feel a swell of pride and identification. I identify with Ricky's creative drive and snarky attitude, as well as his queerness and his offbeat personality. When he does well, I feel like there's hope for all of the intense weirdos out there, myself included. I'm not holding myself to Ricky's standards of success. Rather, I view him as a guiding light. I'm not in the same line of work as he is, and I don't want to emulate his career path myself, but his victories remind me that I can be my own best, weird self and make a place for myself in the world. Fighting the laziness lie, after all, isn't about abandoning all goals. It's about connecting with the goals that truly light a fire inside us and pursuing them in a healthy way. I think that's why I find Ricky so inspiring. He's clearly living his own life on his own terms and flourishing. So I'm going to stop there because I'm reaching almost an hour and I don't want this to go over that. But what did you guys think about this information? Right? Because for me, as somebody that's on the heavier side that has been trying to lose weight and I've done it off and on for years, this has been cathartic for me to see, look, I just need to be the best version of myself. I don't have to prove myself to anybody, not even to the capitalists. That is something that I think is really important. You just have to be the best version of you. Don't change yourself, upgrade yourself. If you are a Bob 1.0, become the Bob 2.0. If you are the Stacy 2.0, then try to be the Stacy 3.0. Hell, I don't care if you are the Steve 1.0, as long as you go to the Steve 1.1 or Steve 1.2, version 1.5 even. As long as you're doing what you can to improve yourself, to be better than who you were yesterday, that's all that matters. And if you can use the example of somebody with something that's doing something attainable, then go ahead and go that direction. But leave these unrealistic expectations at the door. because this system wants you to hate who you are. The goal is to switch it and to love who you are and be the best version of yourself because you love yourself. So when we read Laziness Does Not Exist next, when we do chapter 7, part 3, we're going to be going into It's Not Your Job to Save the World. So this is going to be an interesting one because we're going to get into activism. This is going to be something I'm going to encourage all the people who are in activism to tune in for that reading, because that is going to be very deep. Okay. So we're ending it right there. But it's good. I am so happy that I was able to get into that with you guys, because I think this is very, very deep, and yeah, I mean, we have to focus on just bettering ourselves outside of what the images that we're constantly bombarded with. Now, did you guys like the stream? Go ahead and give the stream a like. That pushes me out into the algorithm. So thank you so very much. And also make sure to subscribe to the Substack so you guys get those email notifications. Okay. With that, I'm going to give a huge shout out to the patrons on Patreon and Coffee, as well as anybody that sends me anything through PayPal. That helps me so very much. Thank you so very much for all of the contributions. You guys are real ones. Thank you so very much. And yes, my channel is still demonetized. So if you like to support the channel, you can support via Patreon or PayPal. And with that being said, let's go to the tiers to see what you're getting into before you join Patreon. So here are the tiers. These are the tiers. JB members, Solidarity, Comrades, which is the meat of the bunch, Jaybefaunters, Super Jaybefaunters, Super Duper Jaybefaunters, and Mega Jaybefaunters. Thank you so very much to all of you for being supporters of the channel. And also a shout out to new patrons. We have Ingy Stardust and Kari Perillo. So thank you so very much for supporting the channel. It literally keeps the lights on. Thank you. All right. So while we are live, I'm going to go into the chat and get some of your thoughts too, because I would like to know what you guys are saying in the chat, especially about what's going on. And that's one of the reasons why I also showed Mike out in the beginning during the cold open, is because I think it's important that we realize that we have to be kind to others, but we also have to be kind to ourselves. You see, the laziness lie says that you can't be kind to yourself. You have to be mean to yourself. There's this meanness type of society, this meanness type of doctrine that we have to follow, because apparently that's how we're supposed to operate. When in reality, it's like, no, if you don't want people to be mean to you, then why are you being mean to yourself? Right? So let's go to the rock. And let's see what the folks are saying. So I'm going to start with Rockman. Try to make sure I do not miss that one. All right, going into the chat. All right, so Wayne Lopez, Wayne, please don't advertise stuff on my Rockfan chat. I'll be forced to ban you if so. Dave Burt, thank you, says, hey, JB, nice stream. Tried sending an email earlier today, but didn't get through. I think it may be email biz, network to network thing. Oh, it still typically goes through. It just does that. I don't know why, but I'll look for it a little bit later. Says, seem to be getting a recognized on outlet. Yeah, it typically, like, people will be like, oh, it didn't go through. It actually went through. It's just the way Outlook works. I don't know. It's weird. Um, so it probably went through, but I'll try to email you if I get it. Uh, Thank you so much for the tip on Rockfin. Says thank you for the thanks for the stream. Says we got to talk about intersection of art and politics sometime live. That would be nice. Yes, I think the intersection of art and politics is actually a worthy conversation of having. I've actually talked about it with Kevin Ronka and Mark of Right Brain Studios. I think it's worth having the conversation even more, especially in the times that we're living in. So thank you very much for that. Let's go to the general chat. What are y'all saying? All right. Helpful Harm says, like the stream, love the guy. Thank you so very much. I appreciate that. Helpful Harm says, the secret is buying bulk bag of beans, but that requires saving up $50, which is impossible for most. Yep, it's pretty much impossible for me too. Yeah. Savita says, yes, Facebook is fake. I don't think Facebook is fake. I think that people curate their lives to make things look unobtainable. So that's why it feels fake to a lot of people. I'm just saying. Now, I forgot to turn my light on. I usually have that light on behind me. Oh. Okay. Bad Cookie says, wow, JB has a ceiling fan. He's doing way better than I am. Oh, nah. No. I think I see what you mean, though. Thank you so very much. Retro Gamer saying, hi, good to see ya. Savita says, like a friend once told me, if a person's life is so great, what is she doing on Facebook posting pictures rather than living and enjoying life? Interesting. That's a good question. Bad Cookie says, that's a nice shirt, JB. Thank you. My mama got it. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. All right. So Bad Cookie says the AI pictures all usually have extra fingers and such. Yeah. Very interesting. Savitha says Garland is live too and do distance. Yeah, I figured there'd be a few people that would be on live tonight, but I was just like, you know what? Let me just go. I figured I didn't want to compete with Sabby, so that's why I waited till her stream afterwards, after her stream was done, to do this. So I wanted to make sure. I don't like competing against my peeps like that. Oh, Sean Miller. Sean, come on, man. Don't make me get all teary-eyed on here right stream in front of everybody. Sean Miller says JB inspires me. Oh, you're too sweet. Thank you. You make a tissue dance, put a little boogie in it. Are you picking on me? Because I was blowing my nose. It's all good. I love it. B2 Tree says, I love these readings. Oh, great. All right. Here for every single sway. Oh man, thank you so very much. Sean, you slay me. Sean says, I want to say thank you. You're a beam of light in a dark world. Keep being you. Thank you so very much. That means a lot. Game.film says, much love, fam. Good to see you, Game. Nice to have you in the chat. All right. CBC Voters also in the chat saying happy Sunday at JB. Yes, thank you so very much, everybody, for being in. So, with that being said, I'm gonna head on out. I gotta find myself something to eat. I'm really hungry. I don't know what I'm gonna have. I might have to just have me a smoothie. Think about having me a pineapple smoothie with some spinach, carrot. I do flax, hemp. I'm out of chia seeds though. I gotta get some chia seeds. And then I do like my vegetable protein powder, a little bit of honey, and then I just add water, and then that just makes a nice thick smoothie, and that's great. So yeah, I don't know, I'm thinking about it. There's so many other things that I would have right now too, though. I can definitely go for something. I haven't eaten since 10 o'clock this morning. I think that was when I had breakfast. But yeah, so I got to eat. Anyways, just to let you guys know, later this week, I'm going to try to get into the continuation reading of Bell Hooks, The Will to Change by Bell Hooks. So we're going to get into that. And then we're going to get into the further reading of Water in the Spirit by Melodoma Patrice Somé. So we're going to get into those later this week. I cannot wait to get in and further reading on that. And then once I'm done with Laziness Does Not Exist, I think I know what book I'm going to cover next. The author is still alive, by the way, so I'm glad, and I'm trying to see if I can have the author on too. I would love to have Dr. Devon Price on after I'm done with Laziness Does Not Exist. That would be amazing. I'll see if I can facilitate that. Gotta get some emails going. Gotta search them out, right? But anywho, so I just want to say thank you to everybody that has been supporting the channel. It's been a rough week and a half, 2 weeks for me. I'm still, trying to figure out what we're going to do housing wise. If you guys would like to assist, you guys can. My PayPal is in the chat. Would it be helpful if I put my Cash App and my Venmo? I mean, I already, you guys have already helped me out. It's just a lot, but I'm trying to do the best I possibly can with what I got. And so if you guys would like to, just let me know. But I'm going to head on out, try to find me something to eat in there. I got some soup. Probably have some soup. Who knows? Anyway, so like I always say, Awful Harm says, nice butter squash soup with coconut milk. Never had butternut squash soup. Gonna have to look into making that one day. But like I always say, water your plants, water yourselves. Leave the world better than you found them. Smoke them if you got them. Drink them if you got them. If you ain't got them, then watch something funny because joy is revolutionary, or read because reading is fundamental. And look, just continuously try to look at yourself and the possibility of the better version of yourself you could be. Don't base it on somebody else. Try not to compare yourself. That's how you get into imposter syndrome too. It's not a good feeling. Trust me, I know. I have imposter syndrome all the time. I especially had it when I first started in this space. Just be better than who you were yesterday. And I love you guys for tuning in. I love you guys for watching. Mwah! Forehead kisses to every single one of you, because you guys matter more than you think. And be kind to yourself and be kind to the world around you, because you never know what tomorrow will bring. I'll see you later. See you guys on Tuesday. Bye-bye. Thank you so very much for watching my channel, and I deeply appreciate it from the top and bottom of my heart. If you wish to support the channel further, so I can keep bringing you content that is educational and informative, you can become a patron on patreon.com/Jaybefaunt. You can find that link in the pinned comment or in the description below. No matter what you give, you'll be supporting independent media and education that helps make the world better. Thank you so much, and you can watch more of my content here. Mwah. Forehead kisses, and have a beautiful day.